Well, we're just minutes away from the debut of a brand new program right here on WVUA. Tonight, members of the community are gathering here at our studio for the premiere of WVUA Law Call. It's a weekly call-in show where you can talk to West Alabama attorneys about your legal questions. Joining us now with a preview of Law Call are Terri Brewer and Bob Prince.
Thank you, Claire. And Law Call brings together attorneys from across West Alabama to answer your legal questions live on the air. Joining me each week and this week will be this man sitting right next to me, attorney Bob Prince of the Prince Glover Law Group. And tonight we're talking about everything you ever wanted to know about personal injury.
You know, personal injury can occur from just about any kind of activity, whether you're driving a car, pushing a lawnmower, or even taking some kind of prescription drug. If you've been injured, you need to know what your rights are under the law. If you have any questions, you just call us. We'll take your questions live.
If you've been injured and don't know what to do, then give us a call at 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. Stay with us. WVUA Law Call starts right after the news. Claire, Michael, and John, back to you.
This is WVUA Law Call.
Welcome to the premiere edition of WVUA Law Call. I'm your host, Terri Brewer, and each week we'll be discussing a different legal topic and taking your legal questions live on the air. Tonight our topic is personal injury. The phone lines are now open, so if you have a question, then you can give us a call at 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. But before we go to those phone lines, let's see what's on the docket for the next few weeks on WVUA Law Call. Next Sunday, we'll be talking about bankruptcy. Maybe you have some financial woes and you don't know what to do. And for the final Sunday of the month, we'll be talking about healthcare negligence. And then on February 5th, you can ask us anything and try to stump our attorneys. And on the panel tonight and every Sunday night will be attorney Bob Prince from the Prince Glover Law Group.
Thank you.
Bob, the law can be such a scary thing for so many people.
Terri, the law can be a scary thing, but it doesn't have to be. You know, part of what we do here on Law Call is we're going to take the fear out of the legal process because the law is really there to help you. And all you have to do is just learn the system and you've got it. So thankfully, I know a little bit about personal injury because I've been doing this for over 25 years and I've dealt with it and do deal with it on a daily basis. Before we get into the show, though, Terri, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to be the anchor of Law Call. And I'd like to thank the University of Alabama, the Law School, and WVUA for allowing the Prince Glover Law Firm to host this. You know I speak for everybody in our firm that we just have a very special blessing because we're involved in this. And we're going to have some fun, Terri.
We surely are. We are going to have some fun.
But, I really think the people in West Alabama are going to be the real winners.
And why don't we get things started by you telling us about our guest tonight?
Well, that'd be my pleasure. Our guest is Matt Glover, and Matt will be sit in my chair as the host when I'm not here. And let me tell you a little bit about Matt. First of all, he and Holly have 2 children. They go to First Baptist Church, and Matt is a Sunday school teacher there. But he's also a great lawyer. He's smart, he's hardworking, and he's ethical. And he handles a lot of the cases in our office, important cases. In fact, Matt recently got a $15.5 million verdict in federal court in a trucking case. Matt, how in the world did you do that?
Oh, Bob, I wish I could take credit for it, but like you mentioned, we have been blessed. Blessed in so many ways, and obviously we get to represent great people all throughout West Alabama, and I am so glad to be here tonight.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get things started then. Tonight, we're discussing the issue of personal injury. If you've been injured and you aren't sure what your legal options are, then you can give us a call. The number is 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. And we already have lots of folks on our phone line, so let's go ahead and take a call from one of our viewers. Jarvis in Tuscaloosa is on the line. Thank you for calling us, Jarvis. What is your question about personal injury?
Well, thank you so much for answering the phone. What it is, in 1994, I was in a mental hospital, and now I can't get off a decent job because of that. I was a very hard worker. I was working 2 jobs, and now I'm on Social Security.
Jarvis, let's get you to turn your television down if you could. Are you still with us, Jarvis?
I just cut it off.
Okay.
What it is, I went to a mental hospital, a state mental hospital in 1994. And after that, I was working 2 jobs. And now I can't get a full-time job because I have a state mental health behind me. And I was misdiagnosed when I was in there.
Okay, so Jarvis is asking us about a misdiagnosis. Bob, what would you say about that?
Well, Jarvis, 1994 probably is too late to do anything about it. But my recommendation is that you see a lawyer that specializes in employment law, because if you're being discriminated because of some condition, you may have a remedy.
And let's go ahead and go back to our phone lines now. We have Ken from Northport. Ken, thank you for calling us. How are things out in Northport tonight?
Just fine. First of all, I want to congratulate you on having this show, because I think it'll be a good service to the people in this area.
Well, thank you so much.
In the summer of 2005, I was involved in an accident where I was in a chair and it broke, and I had a head injury. What kinds of damages can you seek redress for in that instance?
Matt, what about that?
Terri, that's a great question. First of all, I hope you're doing much better. You bring up a lot of good points that I'd like to mention. First of all, you seem to be talking about what's called a products liability case. That is where you are using a certain product and it fails of its intended purpose. And under the laws of Alabama, there is a recovery for you. Now, what damages are you eligible for? Well, first, you're entitled to any reimbursement for medical expenses that you may have. You may be entitled to reimbursement for future medical expenses that you incur somewhere down the road. The state also, Terri, allows in certain situations for you to recover for damages associated with pain and suffering. What I would recommend that you do is contact a lawyer, a personal injury lawyer. If you need help finding one, give us a call. We'll be glad to help.
And before we go to our next caller, let's go over those phone numbers one more time. They're 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. If you have a question about personal injury, and we've got someone else on the line, we have Geraldine from Tuscaloosa. Geraldine, thank you for calling us. What's your question about personal injury?
Hi. About 3 months ago, I was injured in a car wreck. The person who hit me, the insurance is kind of giving me a hard time about, they paid off my car, but they're giving me a hard time about medical expenses. I really didn't want to deal with a lawyer, but it seems like, it may be coming to that. I was wondering, what are my rights as far as this is concerned?
This is probably a very common case that you guys see. Insurance companies, car wrecks. What about that, Bob?
Terri, unfortunately, it is a very common thing. Geraldine, an insurance adjuster really is doing his company a good job if he can hold the claim down. You need to see a personal injury lawyer immediately. There's several good ones in town, but they can guide you about what to do, and they can negotiate your case for you with the insurance adjuster, and that's really what you need to do. I don't think you need to deal with the adjuster anymore at this point, because he's already indicated, or she, that they don't want to pay your medical expenses.
And we have another caller waiting on the lines right now. We have Sherry from Tuscaloosa. Sherry, what's your question for our panel tonight?
My husband and I attended a party earlier in the fall, and we were walking down the patio steps, and the deck steps, and one of the boards was loose, and I fell and hurt my ankle real bad, and we've had problems with the owners of the home helping us pay for the medical bills.
Matt, what about that?
Well, first let me say that you need to be documenting your medical condition. That's perhaps one of the most important things you can do. Make sure you're going to a doctor, tell your doctor about the problems that you're experiencing, and make sure that it's being documented in the medical records. I will say that in the upcoming weeks, we do have a show that's dedicated towards nothing but what's called premises liability, which is exactly what you're talking about. A lot of us who have homes have what's called homeowners insurance. And a lot of times under that insurance policy, there is coverage for situations just like that. But what you need to do is see a lawyer so they can examine